the Asics Metaspeed Edge Paris versus the Vaporfly 3. This is a review with a twist. I'm Fergus Hodgson of the Ferg Running channel, and this is how I chose the super shoe for my target marathon. You can read the full article, which has many links and much more detail at fergrunning.substack.com. For the past 2 years, I have raced in the Asics Metaspeed Sky Plus. So I got the first one in September 22 when they were just super fresh and I had to order them all the way from Japan via eBay. And then after about a year of those, or maybe 10 major races, I then got an updated pair, the Sky Plus, okay? But I was thinking this year I should consider a new pair, different options. The quality of the super shoes or carbon plated shoes just continues to rise. And I'd done just all my big races in the Asics Metaspeed Sky. Okay, so my focus this year has been going on to a sub 240 marathon. And on a downhill course, I've run 238 before, and on a flat course of 245. Okay, so the toing and froing, after much toing and froing, I settled on the Edge Paris and the Vaporfly 3 as the two just top options. Now, these are world-class shoes. Many great runners have performed well in them. Canada's top runner, Cam Levins, uses the Asics, and countless runners have performed well in the Nike Vaporflies, okay? So just to clarify though, both of these have quite a cupped or pronounced curve in their carbon plate, which tends to favor quick turnover rather than leverage for stride length, okay? So Asics markets the Edge over the Sky as for cadence or shuffle runners. I'm a stride runner or length runner, but I thought I would try this out. Many people have said that you don't need to follow the marketing, you can just go with the shoe that fits you best, right? Okay, now my race happens to be tomorrow. I'm recording this on October 11, 2024. And tomorrow is the Longview Marathon, so we'll see how it goes tomorrow. But cut a long story short, I will run in the Edge. So with a major caveat, so follow through for all the details. I'll give you how I chose this one and then the pluses or which advantages each shoe has.
This episode is brought to you by the Lydiard Foundation, lydiardfoundation.org. The Lydiard Foundation offers coach certification and education in endurance training in the tradition of Arthur Lydiard, who was also from New Zealand, my native country. The late Arthur Lydiard was just the leader, the innovator who brought modern endurance training into to fruition, and his legacy is preserved in this organization. It is led by the phenomenal four-time Olympian Lorraine Moller, my mentor. I am exceedingly pleased to work with him. I've passed level 2, I'm working on level 3 myself. So you cannot find a better source for learning the Lydiard method than the Lydiard Foundation. Go to lydiardfoundation.org, use the discount code FERG, F-E-R-G.
For both shoes, I did a 10-mile or 16-kilometer test run. And within that test run, I did 4 kilometers, so 1/4 of the distance easy. Then I did 1 kilometer on, 1 kilometer off with the 4 times. So the kilometer on at race pace, about 6-minute miles or 340 kilometers. After that, it was clear to me for a variety of reasons that I wanted to go with the Edge Paris. The key advantage that struck me was that the turnover was just so sharp, so tight. I really felt this baby was quicker, and it was almost awkward or uncomfortable because my feet were going too fast for my body. I was a little bit unbalanced because the turnover was so quick. It was really striking, the impact it had when I went up to speed. So that lent me towards the Edge, okay? The Nike felt great too, but it just didn't have quite the same pickup, quite the same turnover as the Edge. Okay, so the Edge was snappier, sharper, and it did feel a little bit lighter. Now, just as a little bit of context to give you a sense for what I'm training in or running in, and for my tempo runs, I typically run the tempo in the Puma Deviate or Nitro Deviate Elite 2, or in the Asics Magic Speed. So those are both great shoes. There's actually a special on Magic Speeds on Amazon right now. If you're on the article, you can click through and it's just $100 for this pair, which is a steal for a carbon-plated shoe for Tempo by Asics. And I picked up the Nitro Elites back in New Zealand when they were on half price. I don't usually buy Puma, but I just wanted to try them out and then they felt great. So if you want to look at an alternative to these two fancy pants ones that are $250 or $260, these are slightly cheaper and beautiful shoes. They feel great. They really inspire a man to run and go great. And I used them for a 3-hour pacing of the Calgary Marathon, and they went great. So I would enjoy those. Whether they're as fast as the top ones, I don't know. These things are very hard to tell, but they really feel great. They're top quality shoes too. This is where the story gets interesting, the weigh-in. So I weighed both shoes, and the Vaporflies, these came to, and this is size 11, these came to 217 and 216 grams. So 1 gram difference, basically the same weight. The edges came in at 203 grams and 194, so 9 grams difference. And this was after, I could clean them, I could do whatever I want, the weight stayed the same, okay? And the same for the Nikes too, right? So there was a 9 gram difference, and that's about 5% weight. So the left edge was 9 grams, 5% heavier than the right edge. And this didn't seem kosher, so I basically complained to Asics, and they gave me a bit of a runaround because I had already run one 10-miler in them. But eventually they gave it to some kind of warranty unit, and about 5 days later, they said, yes, we'll give you a refund so that you can buy a new pair. And that was I appreciate that. And that were just in time for me to buy a new pair before my race, Longview, okay? To get it, I had to pay $30 for expedited shipping, but they did get here. Okay. You can probably guess where this is going though. So I received the new pair, and what were their weights? This time it was 200 and 206 grams. So similar, but still a 6 gram disparity. And so I'm not making this up. I'm going to choose the lighter left-hand shoe and the lighter right-hand shoe of the two pairs I have. And that means I will have a 200 gram left-hand shoe and a 194 gram right-hand shoe, okay? So still 6 grams, but closer and the lighter of the two options, okay? So for, I guess, a 197 average. Now these are supposed to be 185 grams in the size 10. So whether that fits with an average of 197 for a size 11, I would suggest that they're slightly heavier in reality than what they're advertised, but they could be, that also could be the scale slightly off, right? So scales will give you comparisons, but not necessarily the exact weight overall. I will admit too that I have somewhat of a soft spot for Asics, and I was surprised because they were the very first shoes I wore, maybe when I was 12 or 13 years old, when my mother bought me a proper running shoe. Asics, the Gel 123 back in the 90s was the one. Let's try to come to some sort of conclusion here. Both these shoes are sophisticated quality shoes, right? Even though I'm going to run in the Asics Metaspeed Edge Paris over the Vaporfly, Nike Vaporfly 3, I would recommend that anyone who buys these, put them on a scales right away and just check whether you're happy with the weight disparity. If you are not happy with the weight disparity, let's say they're 9 or 10 grams different, as I found with my first pair, so long as you've not run them, you can just return them right away, right? So that no problem there. But if you have, it's much more complicated. You've got to go through a warranty process and they may not accept. So just weigh them first. Okay. So let's get to the final advantages. What are the advantages of the Vaporfly? It is sturdier. It would give you more durability. It has better aesthetics, to be frank. I don't like this super bright fluoro that Asics has, but that was all that was available. Nike, they have a variety of different options and they're available at many different retailers. So you can get a color scheme that suits you. I like the more simple or traditional colors, the whites, grays, creams, maybe blue. And so anyway, on top, there's more ventilation. The holes on the Nike one are bigger, more wind, more ventilation can get in there. There's still ventilation on the Asics, but just less than on the Nike. And the Nike gives a more comfortable, stable feel, especially around the ankles. So if you like that comfortable sort of tight or snug fit, Nike is the way to go, okay? You can still get that on the Asics, but you have to, both of them you want to tie tightly, but the Asics, I felt it was a bit less stable around the edge, okay? They get maybe they're cutting corners a little bit there just for weight purposes, I'm not sure. Okay, so what are the advantages to the edge? First, if you average up all the weights of the 4 shoes I got, they're 7.3% lighter on average, right? And that is a noticeable difference. You do notice that these are slightly lighter. Okay, they have a wider, roomier toe box. That is huge. When you're running a marathon, you want more room there to cut down on blisters, and you get that from the edge. So that's one of the key wins to me with the edge, a roomier toe box, great. So you do, like I said, the other thing that really I noticed was this very quick, super speedy turnover. I loved it. And I felt like there was it was a noticeable, not huge, but noticeable difference over the Vaporfly. And so the Vaporfly, while it gives you more of this kind of like stable, secure feel, this one has a bit more of an energetic or pop feel, okay? So both have decent lockdown, but as I mentioned, you want to use the runner's lacing system where you have an extra loop here for the laces to come in, just because as the run proceeds, the shoes will get a bit looser. So start off with them nice and sharp. Okay. Now in terms of sizing, as I mentioned, both of these are 11s. The Asics had more room. In terms of for the Nike, if you're choosing between two half sizes, I would go up, right? So it was definitely the case that the Nike was a bit tighter, a bit more compact than the Edge with the size 11. So even though the size 11 felt true to size, I felt like the Nike was a little bit tighter. So if you're debating, go one size up. The Edge feels a bit more true to size. If you'd like to add your own perspective or challenge mine politely, please leave a comment either on Substack or YouTube or wherever you're seeing this, Twitter maybe, or X. Please also subscribe for more updates, be that on Substack or YouTube, and you're welcome to connect with me on Strava. Thanks so much for listening, and I appreciate the feedback.